This is the Mississippi King, and I'm here to welcome you all to the finale of my first Let's Play, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Many consider this to be the greatest video game ever made, and with good reason. I'm gonna play through the 3D Zelda games, so I thought I might as well start with the one that got me into the Zelda series. I've long loved this game, and I think it deserves its status as quote-unquote the greatest video game of all time. But I didn't let that blind me to any of its problems. Throughout the way, I have critiqued this game for all its flaws and triumphs. Truth be told, I was once scared I'd screw all this up. I'd be lying if I said I was never scared, but I had to start someday. I had been wanting to do this for 6 or 7 years, and I'm finally going from 1 to 2, and I'm not gonna stop at just 2. Let's fire this channel up one more time. So this is it, folks. The last video in my Ocarina of Time LP. At least the last I foresee.
The Triforce parts are resonating. They are combining into one again. The 2 Triforce parts that I could not capture on that day 7 years ago. I didn't expect they would be hidden within you two. And now, finally, all the Triforce parts have gathered here. These toys are too much for you. I command you to return them to me.
And right now, as you can see, Navi says that she can't help. What that means is that you can't actually Z-target him.
Great King of Evil Ganondorf.
So this is it, folks, the final boss. And what happens in the final boss? Well, we'll see. Actually, he just shoots energy beams at you, and you need to hit them back with your Master Sword. This took me a while to figure out. Actually, it took me a while to figure out how to damage him, because, like, after a while, the energy beams do they do hit him, and it looks like he takes damage, but no, actually what you're supposed to do is to shoot a light arrow at him after it's hit him, and then attack. That took me a while too, to find out. Just watch what I'm doing. You can shoot him with a light arrow and then attack him like so. See, this is why it's good to have that decent amount of magic things. Just take care that you don't get hit, because he can do a lot of damage. Sure you can! Sonic Boom! Hadouken! Buffalo Head! Electric Thunder, which is kind of redundant because thunder is by definition electric. I digress. He's actually pretty easy. It's not that much of a problem. You just rinse and repeat what I'm doing. And don't get too close, otherwise you'll start slamming the ground and destroy the platforms. But Yoga Fire! 100 Hand Slam! Lightning Kick! So, if he slams the ground, then the platforms around you will come down. And that's not something that you'll want to do. So, you can always hide in the corners, but still. And also watch out for when he does that, because you'll want to do a spin attack unlike what I was doing. A Hurricane Kick! Spinning Bird Kick! Spinning Pile Driver! He's not much of a problem. just take care that he doesn't do any of his moves. And I think then, okay, that didn't trigger him to attack like that. Anyway, just use the spin attack like so, and he should go down pretty easily. In fact, that's about it. Also, I'm running out of Street Fighter moves, so it's good that he went down like that.
The great evil King Ganondorf, beaten by this kid? M-King.
So we've beaten the game, right? I mean, Ganon's destroying the castle, so that's it, right? Game's over. Roll credits. Okay, maybe not, but still, this is the ending, folks. Or at least we're getting close to it, but yeah, this is really end game, if you can believe that. And now we've rescued Zelda, so of course that means that's it, right? Right? We'll see. So Zelda's back. That's good news, 'cause now we can get out of here. Ganondorf, pitiful man. Without a strong righteous mind, he could not control the power of the gods, and... What's this rumbling? M-King, listen to me! This tower will collapse soon! With his last breath, Ganondorf is trying to crush us in the ruins of the tower! We need to hurry and escape! Please follow me! So thus, it's an escape sequence. Because of course the game just... They wouldn't end it just like that. So, we need to do something about that, and basically you need to escort Zelda to each of these doors so that she can open them. And this, by the way, is actually where you would have fallen down to if you fall below the floors that, like, Ganondorf knocks down. Like, if you fall there, then that's where you would end up. But I didn't fall, so yay. But this is it. And we'll also have to fight a few enemies along the way. You'll see them later on, but yeah, don't get complacent just yet. This may be endgame, but doesn't mean that it's going to be straightforward. But speaking of which, like, yeah, it's hard to believe that this is actually the finale of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And, while in the last episode we got up to Ganon's door to his throne room, and we dispelled the last barriers and got the big key, so I can't believe it's taken me that long to explain it, but still, that's quite the journey we've made. It's been a long road behind us. It's been a long time coming, and a long road ahead as well. I am not going to let this LP be done. I'm not gonna let it take 2 years to complete. I mean, it's almost been 2 years already, but still, that's quite the journey. The story to this game is just epic. This game, like, more than any other Zelda game, I think is spectacular at telling a story. Again, the plot is simple, but the story is profound and impactful. This story is something that will remain with us for years to come. The game is already over 20 years old at this point, and it still holds up in my eyes to this day. The ending to this game is spectacular. I'll talk more about it later, but suffice it to say I think it feels very appropriate and it fits the tone of the game and what they've been going for. We're actually coming up on the final room of this escape sequence, so the next one is the final room. And here we are. And of course there's a re-dead that is a little annoying. You can kill this guy, I recommend doing so to get him out of the way. And that's the last enemy we'll face. But what's coming up is an epic cutscene that just leaves me speechless every time I see it. So, you know what? I'm not actually going to talk over it. Just sit back and watch it. That is a scene that just looks straight from a Hollywood blockbuster, and I mean that in the most positive way I can. It's over. It's finally over. You said it. This feels like the end of an era to me. I mean, who knows where this channel will go from here. But of course there's a strange sound, so what's up? Let's go investigate it, shall we? I just want to be sure that we have everything in order. And what is it? Well, it's the final boss, because Ganon is not defeated. He still has the Triforce of Power, and he's going to transform into a beast. This is powerful.
Ganon.
No subtitle necessary. Ganon just speaks for itself. This fight just has an epic setting. It's widely considered one of the greatest final bosses in all of gaming history. Many consider it to be the greatest. And I don't know if I consider it the greatest, but it's definitely up there. The dark setting that contrasts well against the lightning. The fact that he just sends the Master Sword flying and leaves you to have to fight using your other weapons. The way that he turns into a terrifying beast and forces you to use your items to the best of your ability. The lightning in the background, the dark clouds that create this epic battle. The fact that everything around you is rubble and you're surrounded in a ring of fire. Everything about this fight, man, it's handled so perfectly. This is an example of why, while no game is perfect, you can't make a perfect game, but you can make a perfect moment in a game. I'd say this is one of them. This scene is just so well executed. It's just so powerful. So much has been building up to this. So much rests on your ability to fight Ganon. This is a truly epic moment. I've got nothing but praise for this fight. I have no jokes for this. It just feels so perfect. The fact that they didn't include a subtitle over Ganon's name, I think, is very fitting. And the one thing that I feel I don't particularly like is that I feel they should have added an alternate ending for when you lose to Ganon. As it stands, you only get a regular game over. I don't really care for how they didn't include that. And as for why that is, well, I'll talk more about that later. But that's not so much an issue with the fight itself, so much as it is that, they didn't include that as a scene. But in any case, we got the Master Sword back, so now we can actually do battle with him. Now Navi is helping in the fight because now you can actually target Ganon. And I think that serves to make the fight cinematic and even more climactic. I mean, this is it, folks. This is the final battle, the last piece of gameplay that we have left. We're done with Ocarina of Time after this fight. And after that, I can finally move on to other projects. The lighting in this fight is just so perfect. It fits so well. And it's so incredibly epic because of just how cinematic it makes the fight. It's just so amazing. And the fact that he can knock you back so far when he hits you makes this a very intimidating and exciting boss fight. But what you're supposed to do is to shoot him with light arrows and then go behind him and attack his tail with any weapon. This is pretty near the end. Oh, this is it, actually. And that means that we're ready to deliver the final blow. So this is it, the very last piece of gameplay in the game. And the cutscene that follows is quite epic as well. We're actually done with the game. And so that marks the end to Ocarina of Time. However, the ending is still to come. Everything in this game has been building up to this moment, and here it is. It's finally done. The game's over at last, thank goodness. 6 sages, now!
Ancient creators of Hyrule, now open the sealed door and send the evil incarnation of darkness into the void of the evil realm. You. Curse you, Zelda. Curse you, sages. Curse you, M King. Someday, when this seal is broken, that is when I will exterminate your descendants. As long as the Triforce of Power is in my hand.
And thus, that's it, folks. We have beaten the game now. Now, one thing that happens is that this game's ending led to a split in the timeline in the series. Basically, the original games, the original game, Zelda 2, and A Link to the Past are all on the Downfall timeline, in which Ganon defeats Link, which is why I feel that it would have been better to add an ending in which Ganon defeats you if you lose to him. That timeline features Ganon controlling the world. And meanwhile, the adult timeline, the one where you manage to kill Ganon and you're not sent back to being a child, that is the ending that creates its own timeline and includes games like The Wind Waker. And the child timeline, where you're sent back before you opened the door of time and let Ganon into the Sacred Realm, that is the timeline that contains games like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. But this ending, I feel, is very bittersweet, because it's like, you really can't go back. It's like, if we had the option of going back to becoming kids again, then we'd still be aware of the evils of this world. It wouldn't really feel the same. A lot of us wish we could go back to a simpler time, but, well, would we really want to? And this is the question that the game poses us. And you all thought I wasn't going to be done with this by the end of February. Well, I proved everyone wrong. Indeed, if all's going well, this should be out pretty soon. It's definitely by the end of February. But anyway, what makes this game's story so tragic is that, Link is robbed of a normal life. He's sort of thrown into this adventure without ever really asking for it. And speaking of which, I think this has been a pretty difficult journey to get through for me. As, an LP project, it's often been hard trying to make these videos. Often I had to, force myself to make them, and it's just been quite the struggle. And sometimes editing them hasn't always been that easy, because sometimes I have to, decide which gets sped up, which doesn't, what do I cut out, and whatnot. It's not the hardest editing jobs I've had to do, but it wasn't exactly a piece of cake either. This credit sequence, by the way, is fantastic. I think that this credits sequence is very fulfilling, and once again it adds to the feeling of this being a very bittersweet ending. I still think that this game is the best game of all time. Even after all these years, I think it holds up remarkably well. You know, a lot of people may disagree, but I think that this game is just, it's amazing. I have a few things that I have wrong with it. I have few problems with it. There are problems, and I made sure to point them out when I got to them. And yeah, overall this has been a pretty interesting project. I went from being pretty bad at LPs, at least in my eyes, to someone who is reasonably good at them. I mean, I don't want to, say that, because it's I'd rather my audience be the judge of that. But I do think that I've improved on a number of fronts. I think I've become a better editor, and I think that I've gotten better at keeping commentary going, and I'm also using a different microphone from the first part, so hopefully I should sound better. And as for future projects, I haven't really decided exactly which one I'll do next, but I'm thinking that I'll either start on The Revenge of Shinobi or on Mega Man X. I'm not sure which one I'll do just next. I'm kind of leaning more towards the latter, but don't take my word for it. Both are games that I'm strongly considering. I'm also considering looking at some more modern games, and if I start on the Mega Man X series, then, well, I think what I'll do is I'll actually just splice in some other LPs in between games. Because, for the classic series, I just went from game to game to game. But for the Mega Man X series, I'm thinking that I'll just, splice in a few side projects after I'm done with each game. Maybe sometimes I'll just go straight from game to game. But look forward to that. I mean, with the end of my very first LP, that marks the start of round 2 for my channel. And this ending scene just hits all the right notes. I just love the way that this is composed. I just think it's executed very well. This scene is pretty powerful. Everything about the ending just hits all the right notes. No pun intended. But it's been quite the ride. And the next scene we actually get to see Zelda again as a kid. And so this journey has been quite the ride. It's been full of complicated feelings, and it's been, well, kind of complicated in general, in terms of what I had to go through to get to this point. It's been pretty difficult. Sometimes it's just hard to make myself just sit down and record a video. But we're done now. This is the Mississippi King signing out for my first LP. It's finally over, and now we're ready to kick this channel into round 2. I can't wait for that. See y'all then. This has been it. Join me for either The Revenge of Shinobi or Mega Man X. I still haven't decided. But that should be exciting. This has gone on too long. Bye!